The worst part about managing athletes at Red Bull was looking an elite athlete in the eye and telling them that the partnership was over. For many athletes, this moment turns into a painful search for Plan B. There's a much better way to build an athletic career, and that's what I'm here to share. I hated being the bearer of bad news, and so my motivation was to help these athletes find their true potential by building a community that would support them no matter what. I read an article by Kevin Kelly called 1,000 True Fans and realized that that was the right way to help an athlete build their career. My name is Aaron, and the purpose of this channel is to help athletes become successful content creators with communities that support them. We're going to take everything that I learned from my 12 years of working at Red Bull, in addition to everything I learned while I built a big community on YouTube as an athlete. I'm going to teach you everything I know. Today, we're going to talk about community building, the 5 different styles of content you can make, and what you can do right now as an athlete to get this whole process started to build the community that supports you. Going back to Kevin Kelly's essay about 1,000 True Fans, the core of it was this idea that if you had 1,000 true fans that would truly support anything you did, they would show up when you had a public appearance, they'd buy anything that you put out like merch, and they would generally support what you were trying to do, that would equal roughly about $100 a year. So if you had 1,000 people willing to pay $100 a year to support you in some way, shape, or form, that would get you to $100,000, which in almost every single scenario, that's worth more than any athlete's major sponsor would be paying them on an annual basis. And the benefit of that, beyond making a decent sum of money that could get you through the year, that money is coming from a community that supports you, and it's not subject to a single budget cut that a new CEO or consultant could come in and just instantly cut out. So how do we find our 1,000 true fans? If you haven't guessed it by now, the answer comes down to content. Think about in the real world how you build relationships and trust. It comes down to depth and meaningful connections. So someone that you say hi to quickly or wave to in passing versus someone that you sit down with for a half an hour and talk to, there's a big difference here. And meaningful connections come from depth. So we need to be content creators on a higher level beyond just the social channels of Instagram or TikTok. We have to go to a deeper level with the community that we're building relationships with if we expect them to connect with us on a deeper level. We can build our community here on YouTube by offering more of ourselves as athletes. Your community is already here. You just have to make yourself available for them to find you. And by putting out consistent content and doing it the right way, not only is it going to spread by word of mouth, but it's supercharged by the YouTube algorithm. Speaking of things that are supercharged, let's talk about your actual career as an athlete. The typical model is that you go to competitions and you get results, and then you go to a sponsor and then they offer you a 1 to 2 year deal, maybe with some bonuses involved for exposure. And then when your time on the podium is done, that sponsor moves on to the next shiny object. Imagine if you could guarantee those sponsors a higher level of exposure. So instead of being reliant on contest organizers, on event producers, and contest schedules, which can sometimes overlap, imagine if you had the ability to push out that level of exposure or higher on a regular basis. And that's what we're talking about here. Even if your content is getting a little bit less views than the contest content in the very beginning, what's the quality of your exposure in those two places? Are you fighting against all kinds of other athletes to get just a little bit of exposure in that contest clip? Or is your audience coming to spend the entire time with you? There's definitely a much higher quality on this side of things when you are 100% of the focus of your content. Here's a stat that was in the Publish Press newsletter a few months back. They checked out how much brands were getting back from the partnerships they were doing. And when brands worked with creators, they got $2.40 back for every $1 they spent on content creators. Now, brands are always talking about ROI or return on investment. And this one singular data point should be enough to change the conversation. So much of what brands work with athletes for is for visibility and all these other things that kind of speak to their brand values and all these things. But really what it comes down to is this business decision of the return on investment. And if you're more than doubling their money, that's a pretty good position to be in when it comes time to negotiate. Plus, on top of all this, YouTube pays you for posting content. So in addition to creating value for your partners and sponsors, you're also making money on the side from the platform that you posted on. By this point, I'm sure you're thinking, yeah, Aaron, that sounds great, but where do you even start with this stuff? And that's where you have a competitive advantage over everyone else on YouTube. Most people that want to start YouTube channels that understand the value behind it don't even know what to talk about or how to start this process. And you have this advantage because you're already participating in a sport, you're already an athlete, and all you have to worry about is how you're going to talk about the thing that you love. So here are the 5 most common styles of YouTube content that I think you could make, starting from the easiest possible concepts and moving on up from there. It goes like this: vlog, product review, education, explainer, and entertainment. All 5 of these are easy to get at least started with, and all of them you can build a community using this style of content. You just have to tailor it to your specific sport. Number 1 is vlog. This is your day in the life style content. You just take your camera everywhere and film your entire day and then put it together. It can be training for something, it can be competing, it can be anything in between, even traveling to events. Any of that stuff is fair game, and sports are great for storytelling because even when things go horribly wrong, there's still some sort of story to tell. So this is a really easy one to at least get started, and a great chance for people to get to know you off the field in a lot of cases too. Next up is the product review. So you usually use some sort of equipment in the sport that you're playing, and you're an expert on using that, or at least further along than a lot of the other people that are watching this content trying to learn about it or get engaged with that sport. So you can review the different pieces of equipment that you use. And the extra bonus of this is a lot of these brands actually offer an affiliate program. So if you explain a piece of equipment and then you have a link, some people might go through and buy that piece of equipment, and then you can earn cash that way too. Number 3 on our list is education. This is going to be your how-to video. And the benefit of this is that a lot of times it's like a skill tutorial of some way, shape, or form. And a skill doesn't necessarily change much over time. So we call these videos evergreen. So you can make this video one time, and in 5 years, someone can still watch the exact same video and get just as much value out of it as the day that you posted it. And that's why these are great to have on your channel. Next on our list is the explainer video. And I don't know about you, but I've gone down so many explainer rabbit holes. So in your sport, there's probably some nuance, some history, some details that not everybody knows about. And you could tell a story about this one moment or this one game or this one project or anything like that, just explaining how stuff went down and giving kind of the depth of what actually went down. These are super fascinating, and there's always something to talk about in our sports. The last one on our top 5 list is entertainment. So think about how you might be able to show your sport in an entertaining way. What would happen if Dude Perfect or Mr. Beast took over your sport for 24 hours? What might that look like? What kind of challenges could you put in front of yourself or your friends that would kind of give people a different perspective about your sport? Okay, let's get back to the basics of this whole thing, because it can be so overwhelming to start thinking about content formats and publishing and editing and production and all these different things that I've been kind of throwing at you. I totally get it. It's overwhelming. I've been overwhelmed. I've seen other athletes get overwhelmed, and that's the point where most people tap out. So what we need to do is get our first win, because we know as athletes that you get this first thing and then a second thing, and the compounding momentum of everything is what gets us to that pro level. So we need to have our first win. Now, the easiest thing you could do right now is set up a YouTube channel. You just need your email address to do that. You sign up for a YouTube channel, and the first real win we're going to get is by posting our first piece of content. The easiest way to do this is to go back to your Instagram account, because you probably have posted an Instagram reel of you doing your sport at this point. So go into your phone, pull out that video that you used for an Instagram reel, and let's make a YouTube short. Super easy to post. You don't have to do anything other than post that one video. And what that does is it signals to YouTube, A, I'm a content creator, B, I create content around this, and C, I'm ready to start making content. And that's what's going to kickstart the algorithm to start sending people to your channel. I know it sounds simple, but that's kind of the secret. Long-term consistency is way better than short-term intensity. So what we're going to do is post this first Instagram reel as a YouTube short, and then tomorrow we're going to do the same thing again and just start posting the videos that you have shared out with the world. I guarantee, and you're going to learn this later down the line, but the people watching your Instagram reels are not the same people that are going to be watching your YouTube shorts. So don't worry about cross-posting the same content in two places. It doesn't matter. Post it up there and let's get some of that momentum going. If you're looking for a little bit of extra credit, here's what you should do. Go into YouTube and search for your sport and find the athletes who are currently creating content in your sport. Look at what they're doing, decide what you like about it, what you think is missing, what you might be able to do, and think about that path forward of, well, if I was going to make content, I would want to see this on YouTube, and start brainstorming how you might be able to do that in the easiest possible way. Because ultimately, if you think of a difficult way to do it, it's going to be really hard to make that first piece of content. We just need to iterate. We start with our first piece of content and we just get 1% better every single time. It's always good to have that North Star of where you want to go, but we have to be real about how we're going to get there. And so we're going to start by creating these YouTube shorts, and then we're going to start thinking about what would it look like if I posted a longer form video. And we're going to keep posting those shorts until we figure out the right format that's going to work for us and what we think we could bring to this platform for our sport. After you do all that, come back to this channel and watch the next video. We're going to give you everything you need to build your content empire and more. And if you want to get a newsletter once a week from me that has all kinds of additional information that you can use, check out the link in the description below and we'll take good care of you.